What does the Democrat media do now that the truth is slowly but surely coming out about how complicit they were in hiding Biden's dementia? We have Camryn Kinsey with us now. She's a conservative commentator and somebody who's been spending some time in D.C. in the corridors of power lately, figuring out what's going on. Cameron, what do they do now? You know, you got fake Tapper running around with this book, acting like he is now the big truth teller. Where were these people a year ago?
I know it's absolutely insane. I'm actually excited to watch him go on with Megyn Kelly to discuss this. I know that they're pretty good friends, but I also do think that she's going to ask the tough questions, and they're just covering for themselves right now. To me, it's just kind of phony. It just shows that they lack journalistic integrity. Where were they, like you said, a couple of years ago when they were hearing things within the Biden White House as well? They were hearing rumors, but I had seen a lot of these journalists come out saying, well, we were trusting the sources that were in the Biden administration. Well, you can't trust the people who are the top advisors around him who are protecting him, right? That you can't just trust word of mouth that everything's okay behind closed doors. That couldn't be further from the truth. And so I do believe that this is one of the greatest scandals, of our time. We had a president who couldn't even formulate a sentence. He was falling asleep at the G7 summit. He had access to the nuclear codes. And so this was a huge cover up, coordinated with the mainstream media and the Democrats. And so I'm interested to see what unfolds.
Do you think that they can come back from this, or does the media now have to transition into a more openly partisan phase where they have to admit we're not just truth tellers who are bringing you the facts? I just wonder, a place like CNN, for example, they really think they're going to be able to convince anyone that they aren't a partisan actor in all this? I mean, after if they can't figure out that the president had dementia, what exactly are they doing with all these political reporters and people in the White House? That would seem to be a pretty big story they should have caught.
You're exactly right, and it's just kind of making it easier for us come 2028 because the American people are seeing through their lies. It has never been more transparent, and obviously we've seen a ton of accountability with. Caroline Levitt has done an amazing job as press secretary, taking the tough questions, but also making sure that she's calling these journalists out. I don't think that they have any leg to stand on anymore. And we're seeing the Democrat Party in shambles. They've been in shambles since the presidential election. We've seen the DNC drama lately with David Hogg. They're making it 10 times easier because they've only had the media, they've had these activists. They don't have any real policies to stand on. And we're seeing President Trump thriving right now. He's delivering win after win. He's negotiating deal after deal, and Democrats are making it very easy on us. We just saw Chuck Schumer going on air. He had nothing to say. He was just saying, "We're putting our next foot forward. We're looking ahead," is what he kept repeating because they know they're being called out. What do you even say? There is no rapid response for that other than taking accountability, and we both know, Buck, they're not going to do that.
Some nations have a nationwide fund, a sovereign wealth fund. Japan, Norway, Saudi Arabia, just to name a few. It's a national program that many citizens of that country benefit from after the nation invests in the development of an asset, the development of oil, for example. Our nation has never had one, though several states do, like Texas. But for America, there are some folks out there who believe that this country has an asset worth $150 trillion dollars buried on American soil that could be the basis for creating such a fund. This endowment, so to speak, is so large it could pay off our national debt 4 times over. Why has it been kept secret for so long? Well, thanks to a Supreme Court decision, President Trump could soon release it to the public. Jim Rickards, former advisor of the White House and Federal Reserve, says if you're over 50, this could be your best chance to build lasting wealth from a once-in-a-century event. To hear more of Jim's thinking, go online to birthright2025.com. If he's right, it could make President Trump the most popular president in history and help millions of investors retire wealthy. Go to birthright2025.com to get the details free of charge. Paid for by Paradigm Press. What do you think about what happened with David Hogg? I don't think we talked about this on radio. Clay and I did earlier this week. I might have mentioned it, but I've been following the story. So he's, I guess you guys are both Gen Z, right? You're not a millennial. You're
Yes.
Gen Z. So you guys are both Gen Z. So you're like near peers. and he goes out and he says something like the Democrats lost too many people who just want to be able to like have a beer and talk to girls or something. And now there's a revolt to kick him out of the DNC. Like, what happened?
I know. It's just because they've propped up all of these activists. Like I said, they have no real policies. They're all failed policies that don't resonate with the American people. The American people don't resonate with these DEI programs, this woke nonsense. We're seeing more of a common sense approach, and it's so incredible that we're seeing, even moderates and liberals jumping ship. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. were kind of a testament to that. With the unity ticket. But again, I'll repeat it. They're making 2028 look really, really good for us because they're eating their own party right now. They're in absolute disarray.
I don't think anyone has seen the Democrats like they are right now. That's for sure. And I don't even think that they argue with that, meaning the Democrats argue with that, right? It's one thing to be an observer from the outside, but I haven't seen anyone trying to pretend like they're in a good spot right now. Although it is a little bit shocking, frightening that however many millions of people came out and voted for Kamala. I mean, Cameron, let's just take a moment here. That's because the Democrats, until the debate with Biden and Trump, thought that even with dementia, Joe Biden was a better candidate than Kamala Harris was. They believed that.
Well, I don't even know if they believe that or if they just knew that he was going to be a puppet and that they could be the one pulling the strings behind closed doors. We're seeing in this book that his top advisors were saying that they could actually wheel him around in a wheelchair, but only until after the debates, only until after the election could they do so. So they're a part of this coordinated cover up. And it's insane for the American people. Just like Megyn Kelly actually noted, she's been covering this pretty well. Just like she noted, I want to see a commission. If we can create a 9/11 commission, a J6 commission, I would like to see a bipartisan commission on this where Republicans and Democrats alike come together for the sake of democracy, because this is the largest cover up that we've seen. The American people deserve answers. There was records and notes of a cognitive decline for years, and especially over the past last couple of months, it progressively got worse and worse and worse. And we knew this, right? I mean, we saw it firsthand during the debates. Anybody with two working eyes could see that he wasn't completely coherent. And it was sad. It was very sad to watch for me. I do have some empathy for that. And it makes me question, the integrity and the type of person that Jill Biden is to let her husband go on that stage.
Yes, I think that Jill Biden must have told herself she was doing it for the benefit of the country. But I think it's very hard, Cameron, to see it and not think that Jill Biden was hiding her husband's condition from the world and certainly from her fellow Americans because she wanted to be the first lady and stay in the game. Because if she's not the first lady, who is she?
Well, exactly. And we saw her, filling in. And I just think she was power hungry. We saw her and Hunter Biden filling in these National Security Council meetings, which is just so rich because the Democrats loved to come after Pete Hegseth for talking to his brother, for talking to his wife about certain things, God forbid. But then, Jill's leading these National Security Council meetings, Hunter Biden's sitting in as well. And I don't even know if they were holding security clearances at the time. So the hypocrisy is it's insane as always. But you're right. I do think it was just a power hungry move on her behalf.
I don't know if you've seen this, but on the immigration front, obviously, it's been a tremendously successful start to the administration with reductions at the border of 99% or something like that in illegal crossings. I mean, essentially taking illegal crossings down to a point where they're no longer really an urgent national priority because they've stopped in such high percentages or such a high percentage. But now they're starting to have these videos of people who are screaming and kicking, and when ICE comes to arrest them, they resist arrest. And to me, it seems like, and they're being shared by left-wing activists. To me, it seems that we're entering the phase of we're just going to have Democrats pulling on the heartstrings as much as they can of the public with this stuff, where everybody who's going to be deported now is is either a kindly grandma who has just been doing nothing but the best stuff for 20 years, or is about to found the next Google if they're a younger person. Do you worry at all that the emotional blackmail stuff is going to start to work, or do you think the American people are in a place where, sorry, 10 plus million came in under Biden, we got to do what we got to do?
Yeah, well, look, I'm a 24-year-old. I voted in two presidential elections, and I see right through it. We've seen U.S. representatives going to El Salvador advocating for an MS-13 gang member. I believe his name was Representative Chris. Is it Chris Van Hollen who did that?
Yeah.
Yes, who went to El Salvador. One of his constituents actually died from an illegal immigrant, and I don't even think that he reached out to Rachel Morin's family. I don't think that he issued any sort of type of acknowledgement to his family or his constituents about that. Yet he can go overseas and advocate for this criminal. I think the American people are seeing right through it, and it just kind of goes to the broader issue of why President Trump was elected in the first place. President Trump was elected because there was an overwhelming sentiment that Americans felt like they were forgotten. And the Democrat Party loves to prioritize illegals over their own constituents, over the lawful, law-abiding citizens who voted them into office in the first place. And then as well with kitchen table issues, you had inflation, the economy was in shambles, you had families not being able to afford, gas and groceries and things like that, and they just felt forgotten. They just felt forgotten by leadership, and that's really where President Trump came in and said enough is enough. This is, not just something you see on the news. This is affecting everyday families who just want, safety in their own communities. And so I'm glad that President Trump is addressing this issue along with Tom Homan. Tom Homan has done an excellent job with these deportations and making sure that our communities are staying safe, along with Kristi Noem as well.
What are you most hopeful for in terms of the administration's next steps and next priorities, at least, let's say, pushing into the summer and taking us into the fall?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think what's so amazing about this administration right now is it's so productive. He's done more in this administration, just, within the first year than Biden could ever complete within 4 years of his presidency. And so I'm really excited to see the developments with this Middle East tour. I'm really excited to see what peace deals can be negotiated, coming out of this. President Trump is doing what he does best. It's the art of the deal. He's focusing on soft power. He's focusing on these economic deals that are going to ultimately benefit America, because, we saw in previous administrations, and of course, DOGE was shining a huge light on this, but we saw money just continue to go overseas. We just unapologetically spending millions and millions of taxpayer dollars of going overseas. We're sending our jobs back overseas to China. And now we're seeing President Trump go to the Middle East and ask them to pay up. And so, we're restoring respect for every single American. I believe, he's always one to play 4D chess. And I do believe that we're going to see some peace deals negotiated out of this, along with some, new economic policies as well.
Camryn, appreciate you being with us. Thanks. And come back and talk soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Buck. Good to see you.
Israel is still under attack. There's been missile fire, and there's been all kinds of threat from the terrorists in the region against the Jewish state. The reality in Israel is that parents are still having to worry about taking their children to school. They still have to worry about the next siren blaring. The next attack could happen at any moment. This is why we have partnered with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews to help provide life-saving aid and security essentials. Your urgently needed gift will help provide security essentials like bomb shelters, flak jackets, and bulletproof vests for first responders, armored security vehicles, ambulances, and more. Join me in standing with Israel. Call to make your gift at 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-4325, or online at supportifcj.org to give. One word, support, ifcj.org.